Bishop, it's a great honor to meet with you this afternoon. Thank you for giving us this time. You come from Slovakia, in a region of great beauty that also lived under communism for many years. So it's a land of contrasts. Talk about the influence that your homeland had on you and the formation of the man that you are.
Yes, first, my ambient and where I was growing was my family. And it was something maybe more and more than I'm older, more and more I feel it that maybe this feedback is from family, from testimony of my mother and my father. They were just simple people, hard workers, all their life. And we are 4 boys, as 4 brothers, so...
Which number are you?
I'm 3, number 3. So it was time for me growing of happiness. My childhood was time where I had created the best condition of my childhood. It was nice because it was between my house on the field where we played soccer. And all the games as a kids during the summer, but also during the winter, the ice hockey and the skiing and so. And between the school, we could say, the atmosphere of communism where I felt maybe some exteriorly. And between church, it was the space very important for me from small guy, because my father took me every time, if it should be possible for him, to go to church and to growing in the Byzantine church. Yes, it was not maybe so nice as in this church, but there was the prayers, our divine liturgy, or liturgical year, with the testimony of my parents, as altar boys, my bigger brothers. Also, obviously, I myself wanted to be altar boy also. And the example of our priests, which were present there in parish, it was something nice this time to say it is my formation. And I could say that thanks to of these people, I'm here.
Yeah. So when did you first begin to think about priesthood?
Before I wanted to be, in some environment, people, man, in forest, to protect forest. This is one from this vocation. Another was the vocation to building the houses, building officer, building master. But I from 14th, I wanted to be priest. So I was relatively very, as a young man, I wanted to be priest, and my decision was from this point of view. From elementary school, I had this desire in myself.
Was there a particular mentor or role model, someone that you looked up to who was a priest, that got you thinking, I'd like to be like him?
Yeah. It was 2 priests from my childhood. One from them was married priest, and he was suffered during the communism, the persecution of the church, and he couldn't for 18 years to celebrate publicly divine liturgy and the services.
Oh, wow.
So after his return from western part of Czech Republic, of Czechoslovakia, after his return in Slovakia, he couldn't to stay in eastern Slovakia, only for in middle Slovakia. But after this permission, he could be arrive in our parish. So, and for myself, it was example. Every man, every small kid, for small boy, small girl, have desire to some example. And he was Father Andrew. He was example for me, and and also another father, Father Jan, Father John Babiak. And he is actually Archbishop in Archeparchy of Prešov, so the same as a Jesuit as myself. So, and he was a celibacy priest. And also another was there from family, he was the relatives of my mother. And during this time, he was a seminarian, a student of theology. So he, as a priest, was from spiritual job, I could say in this manner. They had influence for me. And also, I cannot forget the one nun, one sister, religious sister, with all, the habits. And in this period, it was something unusual. It was unusual during the communism to see religious sister in habits, in all, If she, one time a year was visited her parents, she always visited our family. And it was, for me, something strong, So this maybe there are another people, but spiritual, the spirits, but they were in my ambient as a, from priests and from nuns.
So we have a Holy Father, Francis, who is a Jesuit. You are a Jesuit.
Yeah.
They say that if you want to understand the Holy Father, you need to look at his Jesuit roots.
Yeah.
What does your being a Jesuit tell us about who you are as a bishop?
My view as a Jesuit, also my vocation was maybe also under influence of this nun, because it's our family, is relatives with my mother. And after this communism, for me was all new, as some new word. We listened more about the religion orders and the books, religion books, and I read all religion books, which I have possibility, because I loved the read, so it was something for me. And also in this climate, when I was decided to enter in seminary, diocesan eparchial seminary, when I was 3 years, before this my decision, or became the married priest, or became celibacy priest, or religion. So, but for me was the two possibilities closed: the married priest or religious.
Yes.
And also 3 years I was in seminary, so also in this time with another guys and my friends. So I was prayed about for this, and I had this desire after this discernment to be religious. And my imagine, to be Jesuit, it was so high that I am in the first, these moments, I said, no, it's not for me. I am not honest. I am not so good as a Jesuit from history, because I read many books about Jesuits. But after the one spiritual exercises with one Jesuit, I decided to be Jesuit. Also, as an example, another, my friend, priest, Greek Catholic, Byzantine Jesuits, we were few only, as this my archbishop, this my parish priest, because he was entered underground during the communism. And after another's, two Jesuits, all the Jesuits, who suffered also persecution during the communism. It was example for me, and also I decided, so this is my way, to be religious, to be in community, to be close the Holy Father and to help our Byzantine Catholic Church. This was my challenge and my desire.
Well, you were ordained in a church named for the birth of Mary, the Blessed Mother.
Yeah.
How has Marian devotion and Marian spirituality played a role in your life?
As my mother, my physical mother was close to me from beginning. Also, my mother, Theotokos, Mother of God, was during the old time close to me. From my memory, when I prayed together with my father every evening, like kneeling to deny some picture, and it was always present to pray to Mother of God as something normal, usual. And also, besides our Eastern tradition, you know, the divine liturgy, and also all Eastern tradition is very devoted to Virgin Mary, the Mother of God. So, and the icons, and you can see many icons of Mother of God, the sign of, you know, that we have the presence, the Mother of God always with me. And also the sign is also that the bishops, the Eastern bishops, also Catholic and also Orthodox bishops, they put as a sign of fidelity to orthodoxy of teaching, of the Christian teaching, the icon of Mother of God. And so this is a sign, you know, also. So Mother of God, from my ordination, bishop ordination, is always with me.
Praise God. So a little over 4 months ago, you were still living in Slovakia.
Yeah.
And then you get a letter, a phone call. The Holy Father has appointed you to be the bishop of this diocese, this eparchy here in the United States.
Yes.
Was that a shock to you?
You know, I must to explain maybe a little bit that it has also a background. You know, during my time on novitiate as a Jesuit, our novice master always explained us and said to us, listen, guy, you must be prepared for service to church. And you must be conscious that will be not only Slovakia. But you know, in this moment, it was for me as something, are you kidding? Are you kidding that only Slovakia? And where another place? But after, you know, after this, and as in bishop service, you know, I feel it as our Jesuit formation is where is a need Holy Father, Jesuit, where nobody another wants to go, Jesuits must go to help the church. And it, you know, it was the big challenge for me. When I received this offering, this question from Vatican, I said, listen, I'm prepared. If it is necessary for Holy Father, for church to help, I go. So it was not some shock, but it was, you know, the something, you know, in this interior, your life with Christ, and you know, if you live with Christ, after all world became your home. All world became your field as a bishop, as a, you know, to proclaim the gospel to Jesus Christ in everywhere. And now through the, you know, modern technologies, is the same. So it is the duplicity in this manner.
That's a beautiful thought. The whole world is your home.
Yeah.
And Jesuits take a special vow of obedience to the Holy Father, don't they?
So in my case, you know, I didn't make these votes because my ordination, bishop ordination, was arrived in moment in my last part of my formation before this solemn vote as a Jesuit. So as a spiritual, I could say that I am this vote, but really I didn't make this.
It's
vote.
never too late.
No, never.
In the early 2000s, you ran an East-West spirituality center in the city of Košice.
Yeah.
Košice?
Yeah.
Tell us about that spirituality center and its mission, and what was your role?
This mission was founded after communism by this Jesuit Byzantine Catholic tradition, and he felt, from his experience, important to proclaim in Slovakia importance the mission of Saint Cyril Methodius, because as you know, the slave nations was evangelized officially by these two brothers from Greece, Saint Cyril and Methodius, and through the culture approach, because they bring us the letters, the translation of books, the Bible, the liturgy, the law, for country. So many big social, cultural influence, and also as a Christianity. And for this background, also this mission of the Center of Spirituality East West, to be, in one dialogue between Christian East and between Christian West. And he was convinced that, that we need to communicate together, that we are one church in Christ, and we need to each other to, to be close, to be open, because as I said also, the Holy Father, St. John Paul II, that we need the breast with two parts of breast.
Yes.
Yes.
2 lungs.
Yes, 2 lungs of lung. Yeah,
Yes.
2 parts of lungs. So, and this is something important also today, and also I'm feeling also here in US as something as a one challenge. And this church, this center, it has this mission, to proclaim, to support through the science conferences, through the publications, through the also celebration, and through the talking to be with people, to inform people about this important mission of Saint Cyril and Methodius 1,000 years before, because it's still actual also today.
Yeah. Well, you alluded to Pope John Paul II.
Yeah.
That was a question I was planning to ask later. But he said that the church needs to breathe through both of its lungs, the East and the West. Here we are in this beautiful church that in some ways looks like a Latin church, but in very many ways it looks very different.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that the Byzantine Catholic Church is in full communion with Rome and the Holy Father. So could you reflect for us a little bit the value of different rites within the church, and especially the gifts that you see that the Byzantine Church brings to the entire Christian community?
It's a nice parable for it if you go on some field of flowers. Mm-hmm. And if you see only one kind of flower there, it's nice. But if they're present, many colors of flowers, it's something as nice with all color. Mm-hmm. And so maybe as a simple example of this, in different places, geographical places in all world, in Roman world, or maybe in this, was formatted this inculturation of the gospel in the local cultures. And they were growing independently, in all these first centuries, and they created the different tradition, liturgical tradition, we named it also rites, but also now is the independent churches, Catholic churches. There are 23 Catholic Eastern churches, besides the Roman Catholic Church. And so it is create something about our richness. And we could, one from another, to be more spiritual rich. And this is nice, if you could listen some John Chrysostom, his sermons, or maybe some Augustine, and this is a heritage of church, and this is nice, and this is something that we could say it's our.
Bishop, your Episcopal motto is serve. You could have chosen anything. Why that particular word? Why is that important to you?
This serve, the word is the first is from gospel. Jesus showed us as leaders must be servants, and he said, wasn't arriving to be served, but myself as a servitor for another. And this is so strong for me, because love is explicitly to say service. love of in family, love of mother, love of father to kids and to each other. It's something normal, it's something, in service every day. And for me also, I was educated in family, and so I saw my mother and my father as a service to us as small kids. And so also for myself as a bishop, is, was something that bishop must be as a first, which is in service to another. Because we must to offer the testimony, example. If we will offer another our believers, our priests, our deacons, this example, also they will be saved. And and also they will be loved. And in this manner, also on a little bit influence, also Ignatian spirituality, amare et servire, must be, the Saint Ignatius, they took this, this proverb as something most important from Ignatian spirituality. And also, I was spiritual assistant of schoolboys, also during this time in Italy. So, and is the biggest boy who are just thinking for future, they are right here, servire, as a one significant issue for them, for people, for men, for adult Christian, to serve to another.
Yeah. Well, you chose that motto 4 years ago when you were ordained for your home diocese in Slovakia.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're here, you're not an assistant bishop anymore, you are the bishop, you are the chief servant in this diocese. Tell us, what have you found most surprising about this new role that the Holy Father has given you?
It's a responsibility with power. Power could be danger. You received, and I'm received. Felt it. That I'm received power, and power is always danger, because many decisions depend from you, from me as a bishop. I have last word, but it's not only this. This feeling that you are somebody. No. That your decisions could be changed the lives many people for a long time. And it is some kind of fear of God before this service, this power to say is not my power, because the church is not myself, it's not it's Jesus Christ. This church belongs to Jesus Christ. And myself, I'm only this servants, as a bishop, but as a servants. And so it was so little bit surprising for me, as in this difference between this position, the auxiliary bishop for 4 years, and for now as a bishop with all duties and rights and responsibility to be father.
To be father.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's very touching to hear a bishop who does have power to recognize how carefully it needs to be exercised as a father. Thank you for sharing that. What would you like to say to those who are listening about how they might grow in their own spirituality, how they might come closer to Christ?
My wishing for all Christians is only one. My last wishing, my friend, is one, to become saint. This is my wishing, because we will be saints, we will be in heaven, and we will be with our Father, and we will be in forever, with God. And this is my mission, to help people, to help our believers, but not only our believers, to all people, to become saints.
What do you say to lay people who are working in the world, who are struggling to pay their bills and raise their children? What can they do to help them become a saint?
Do not forget that God, that Jesus Christ, is present always with you. Don't forget, please, that, because devil want to say us that God not exist. This is a big danger of today in all world, not only in US, and also Europe, in everywhere, that God is not present. You see these wars, this fame, and many sickness. No, Jesus Christ suffering on cross and rose on Sunday, on Easter. It's present in our life. So I encourage you to be as all believers, all people which are watching us here, to don't lose your hope, to don't lose your faith and your love to another.
One last question. What gives you hope for the future of the church?
I have big hope for future, because you know Jesus Christ is Lord, and Jesus Christ is Lord also of this church. And you know, we are for relatively short time. After 100 years, nobody will know about Milan Lach. It's not important. Important is our presence now, that we are now, and we could change one piece of this world. And this piece, and we are.
Well, Bishop, I'm just very grateful that you shared insights about yourself and your life. And what's very gratifying is to see the great love that you have for the church and for your people. They're very blessed to have you as their new shepherd.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you have good news, we expect you to want to share it. Salvation in Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who for love of us and for our salvation came down from heaven. Salvation in His name, and He is the only Savior, is what we are on earth for. Therefore, all those who spread the good news of salvation in Jesus Christ, we should encourage them. I can speak, but how many people can I reach alone? But the media, the television people, the radio, the newspapers, and all those who use the computer and its derivatives in various ways to spread the gospel, we must thank them, we must encourage them, we must work with them so that they can continue to spread the good news. There's so much news that is not so wonderful in the world, but there is also news that is wonderful on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We encourage them and beg God to bless them, especially the Shalom World TV. God bless you.
Shalom World, God's own channel.